It's January and this is the Library Roadshow. On the show today, brides, domes, wild things, and lawyers, plus a little chat with my boss coming up on the Library Roadshow. Welcome to the January edition of the Library Roadshow. I'm Mary Stein, and this is a production of your East Baton Rouge Parish Library System. We've just said goodbye to the bicentennial year with music and fireworks at Red Stick Revelry, but it's also nice to start off the next year on an equally high note. I'm proud to announce that for the 6th consecutive year, your East Baton Rouge Parish Library has been selected as one of America's star libraries. That's out of over 7,000 public libraries. This 5-star rating is based on how well our patrons make use of the library's many resources. Visits to the library, circulation, programming attendance, computer usage, and even ebook downloads. So this is really your award, not ours. Keep up the good work. Another special announcement also features a few stars, or at least a starry sky. We're delighted to host the traveling exhibition featuring the fantastical world of illustrator and children's author Maurice Sendak. I can't imagine growing up without Where the Wild Things Are, so I'm really looking forward to this. The exhibit arrives mid-January and will be on display from January 16th through February 25th at the Main Library at Goodwood. We'll host a special reception on Sunday, January 21st, and feature a number of children's programs, including a wild rumpus for kids on January 27th. The Children's Services staff is also bringing in wild things of a very different nature when the Baton Rouge Zoomobile returns during January and February. They'll be visiting each library branch, and registration is required for each of these special programs. So check the library's online calendar or the source for details, and call Children's Services staff at your preferred library to register.
Free access to books, audio, and library resources are just a few of the benefits available to you when you get a library card. Need free access to a computer? You get that. Want free access to premium digital resources like Mango Languages and lynda.com? You get that. Need to book a meeting space? You get that. Heck, you can even check out a telescope or use a digital printer with your library card. If you live in East Baton Rouge Parish, pick up your free library card from your local branch library today. Premium access to everything the library system has to offer is waiting for you.
Last month, we shared the news that the library now provides in-house access to LexisNexis Legal, which we consider a premier resource for business and industry. But we also know that many of our patrons are real news junkies, so we've expanded our LexisNexis offerings to bring you more news than you could ever use. Adam St. Pierre joins us now to explain in the Digital Download.
The library is thrilled to present extensive news from LexisNexis News. LexisNexis News comes from the same folks that bring us the legal version, but this one you can get from anywhere with an internet connection. LexisNexis News brings together full text from over 2,500 newspapers, including the New York Times and the Washington Post. Wire services such as the Associated Press, Business Wire, and Newswire. Broadcast transcripts from ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, and NPR, as well as political transcripts. And there's even non-English language news sources in Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Dutch, and Arabic. And it's all free with just your library card. To check out LexisNexis News, head over to the digital library page at ebrpl.com.
Thanks, Adam. This addition to our digital news resources really takes us to a new level, and the fact that you can access it anywhere is especially useful. Let's shift gears and check in with Kayla Perkins reporting in from Beyond the Stacks.
The Louisiana Art and Science Museum has a touring program called the Discovery Dome. They brought the dome to a branch locations across the system last month for a special holiday program. Boy, have we got a show for you. We're at the Main Library at Goodwood for the Louisiana Art and Science Museum's Discovery Dome experience for kids. Let's check it out.
I am from the Louisiana Art and Science Museum, and I have our portable planetarium called the Discovery Dome for children and parents and, well, everyone, I guess, to enjoy a Christmas program called Let It Snow.
Let It Snow is a 30-minute full dome presentation featuring festive music performed by animated characters, and the kids love it.
I tell them if they know the words to the songs, be sure to sing along, and it's just so heartwarming to hear them all start singing when they hear Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Let It Snow or different songs like that.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
From the portable Discovery Dome itself to the surprise inside, this is an exciting program for kids.
It is very exciting from the time that they see what it looks like from the outside. The portable planetarium, the Discovery Dome, is covered with like an oversheet, which is the International Space Station. So it's like they're walking into the International Space Station. And once they get in, they don't realize it looks like a much bigger room than when they were outside. And once the program starts, and even with the Christmas programs, it looks like the objects are all around them. It's very immersive. It's like an immersive theater rather than, we don't even have to call it a planetarium. When you call it a planetarium, you think of the night sky. It's not always that, as with Let It Snow, this Christmas program we're doing, but it's very immersive and engaging.
While Let It Snow is a purely entertaining program for the holiday season, the Discovery Dome is a versatile attraction that LASM uses all year long.
We can do anything we can do in a regular planetarium. So we do Magic Treehouse Space Mission, and we teach them about how to find different stars and constellations. And for this program, it's mostly fun, and Let It Snow, the program we're doing this time of year, it's mostly fun and entertaining and gets them in the Christmas spirit and a sense of family and community.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Wasn't that awesome? Smiles all around. To find out what's coming up at your library, pick up a copy of the Source newsletter or visit us online at www.ebrpl.com. It really is surprising how large that dome feels once you get inside. Learn more about it at lasm.org. Mary?
We're always happy to push the furniture out of the way to make room for the dome. And since our spring One Book, One Community title takes us into space, I have a feeling that we'll be moving the furniture again real soon. Stay right there. After the break, my boss, Library Director Spencer Watts, joins me for a chat right here on the Library Roadshow.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
You're watching the January edition of the Library Roadshow. Everything you need to know about your local library system. And that library system is overseen by our director, Spencer Watts. Spencer, you have been here for 5 years now, and so many things have changed. The most visible symbol is, of course, construction, and we're sitting right now in the beautiful new main library at Goodwood. How do you think the new building is performing?
I think it's performing up to expectations and in many ways beyond that. People are still excited to come in and use our many different study spaces and collaborative workspaces. We have, a large, airy meeting room. Well, we do have large area meeting rooms and a number of smaller spaces that are well suited for group study and projects and that kind of thing. We also have our beautiful airy reading room on the second floor.
And people just come and hang out.
Yes, and there are many places located around the perimeter of that room for people to work and study, and so there's actually a lot going on everywhere throughout the library. So I think our programming spaces, from children's to our exciting teen area to all the other areas that we have in the library, are functioning in a very robust way that really helps people meet a variety of different needs, whether it's coming find materials to read, to study, to do research, to work on projects or work together.
It's really become that third space that we had envisioned.
Yes, and I think most people are very happy with that.
So, in line with construction, what's the timeline for River Center? That's the question I always get.
Okay, well, River Center construction is doing fairly well. You know, we've had a little snow recently, and we're hitting the rainy time of year, and that does have a way of beginning to slow down some construction timelines sometimes. We hope in the fall of this upcoming year, in
fall 2018, it's hard to believe. It's
that most
2018.
of the construction will be finished. But you also have to remember, then you have to furnish the building, and we have lots of interesting new equipment that we're going to be installing. So I would say somewhere near the end of 2018, we should be hopefully in that building, or certainly in the first month of 2019.
That'll be a good Christmas present.
Yes.
So major renovations are also planned for Greenwell Springs, which has been reopened in 2017 after the flood, and Jones Creek.
Right.
So what's up with those two?
Okay, well, we're making good progress in terms of design development, especially for Greenwell Springs. We hope to be able to go out to bid on that project soon.
That'll be wonderful.
In both cases, we're repurposing and redesigning a lot of the interior space to bring some of the same features that people like and utilize so much here at the main library, some collaborative spaces, new well-defined teen spaces in both libraries. We are adding some extra square footage. Jones Creek's on a very tight
it's like an
parcel
island,
of land,
isn't it? Yeah.
And there's not much room, but our architects have been very creative, and we're going to be able to add about 2,500 square feet there. And is that right, or is that a little bit more than that? 3,500. Yeah, they were even more creative than I thought they would be. And then we're also going to be able to expand Greenwell some, but in both cases, I think what'll happen is the buildings will function on a different level and offer a lot more opportunities for programming and for individual study and group study and meetings and those kinds of things.
So the function is we're going to raise that function quotient, just like people in Baton Rouge did when they repurposed spaces in their houses after the flood. They took that opportunity to make new ways of living.
Right, and it's important to remember that a lot of these they're very nice buildings in many ways, and we've done a good job, I think, of maintaining them and taking care of them. But just as things might have changed in the last 20 or 25 years in your house, there are also things that have changed in public space like a library that call for different ways of approaching things and different ways of serving people.
So talking about different ways of serving people, we have some new formats and some other new initiatives coming up that have nothing to do with construction.
Oh yes, I think we have a lively agenda of things going on here at the library in terms of all the different services and collections that we offer. One of the things I think that is going to be a really great thing is that we're working closely with the mayor's Cradle to K program, which is an early literacy effort, and that program is approaching things in a different way as how to engage parents and keep and to offer them encouragement to have a reading program, so to speak, a family reading program
develop
for the
a habit
children.
of reading in the home.
Yes, and that fits in nicely with some of our traditional efforts for early childhood literacy, but also it helps encourage us to think of new and different ways to find and engage people and to have them work with developing those reading reading skills and build those vocabularies for
That's
children,
right. You
which
got to
is so
front load your
important.
effort. That's
But
right.
we also have some new things we're doing in terms of expanding the way that we offer our collections and the type of materials that we have and the formats that we have. We have the interesting new play-away devices,
That's right.
which make it really easy to get an audio book. All you have to do is pop in a battery and make
That's
it
right.
play.
And press one button. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, you don't have to download things.
That's
so
right.
that makes it nice.
It's good for
and
people
neat.
like me.
Yeah.
And of course, we're reaching out to millennials and business in fresh ways.
Yes.
So I think we're seeing that in the 5-star rating and such
Yes.
accolades like that.
Well, I think the 5-star rating is a real tribute to how hard the staff has worked at the library throughout the library system, everywhere from the Career Center to local history to the children's area to every one of our branches. But it also says a lot about the citizens of East Baton Rouge Parish who have invested in their libraries. And then when we offer things, we try to listen carefully and make sure we're bringing them the things that they need and they can use, but they respond by enthusiastically using them. So I think that's what makes a great library. And the 5-star rating is important because it really looks at what is the outcome at the library. How do people use it, the degree to which they use it.
Right. Well, thanks, Spencer. We are really looking forward to a great year, 2018. After the break, author Randall Ladnier, plus we have book reviews from one of our youngest patrons. All that and more coming up next on the Library Roadshow.
Do you wonder how your family landed here? Do you really know your family roots? Discover more about your family history at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library Genealogy Department. East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Become a member and discover more.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to the January edition of the Library Roadshow. The Brides of La Baleine is the story of 88 young girls and women who volunteered to leave France in 1720 and come to the colony of Louisiana as brides for the soldiers and settlers who lived here. It's a fascinating historical journey brought to life through genealogical study by the author Randall Ladnier, who joins me now by phone. Randall, what led you to write this book?
As my research began to uncover the details of who the brides were and what had really happened to them, I grew to appreciate their amazing bravery and the sacrifices they had made in order to secure the survival of the Louisiana colony. I resolved to correct the damage that had been done to their memory by amateur historians, most of whom have speculated that the girls were prostitutes and criminals.
For how long have you been studying genealogy, and how long did it take to research this book?
I began researching genealogy about 1980. As for my book about the brides, I began researching it about 1990 in the marriage records of St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans. Within the past 5 years, I was able to locate and translate French books and articles which were extremely helpful. The book was finally published in March of 2017.
What are some of the surnames of Louisiana families that are descended from some of the brides in this book?
As an example of the widespread impact of the brides on the population of Louisiana, I can list the following surnames: Babin, Becknell, Bergeron, Bordelon, Bourgeois, Bro, Cherami, Como, Cormier, Daigle, Dugas, Duhon, Duplantis, Godin, Gautreaux, Guidry, Landry, Lachelet, Leblanc, Melanson, Naquin, Picou, Rodrigue, Saunier, Terrebonne, Thériault, Thibodeau, Trosclair, and Vicner. Now, those names are all found under one of the brides. Pierre Prudhomme married one of the brides, and one of the researchers for the Prudhomme family has stated that among the descendants of that bride, you find 700 different surnames.
What new and interesting information did you find out while doing research?
Number one, none of the brides had ever been charged with a crime. Two, several of the girls were only 12 years old. 3 of the girls had been taught domestic skills like sweeping, sewing, and weaving beginning at age 8. 4, at the hospital, the girls slept 4 or 5 together on lice-infested straw mattresses. 5, many of the girls were orphans who had been raised in the hospital since birth. 6, the Baton was boarded by pirates on its voyage to Biloxi, and the ship was 90 days late arriving at Ship Island. 7, 3 of the brides died at Biloxi in 1721 while waiting for a transfer to New Orleans.
Thanks, Randall. Pick up your copy of The Brides of Belen today from your local branch library. We've checked in with some local kids to find out what they're reading.
My name is Sarah. I am 7 years old. My favorite book is I Love My New Toy. When the pig says that he loves his new toy and then he lets his friend play with it, and then he spins it and it broke, and then he said, I am mad, and then he said, I am sad. Look at my new toy. I love my new toy. Why? What does it do? I have no idea. A tutor brings me to a library, and my favorite thing is reading.
Thanks. Give kids the chance to read what they're interested in, and who knows where they'll go. Stay right there. You're watching the Library Roadshow.
Do you wonder how your family landed here? Do you really know your family roots? Discover more about your family history at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library Genealogy Department. East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Become a member and discover more.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
My name is Melissa Easton. I'm head of the Special Collections Department of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, located on the second floor of the main library at Goodwood, where history comes alive. Archival collections aren't just made up of old papers and photographs. The Baton Rouge Room Archives is full of different types of historical items that range from Mardi Gras costumes to musical instruments. Most of these materials are donated to us, but some are found by our staff at garage sales, thrift shops, online, or even in garbage cans. When pieced together, these varied materials help us paint a historical picture of different people, places, and events in the Baton Rouge area. For example, let's look at one of the most well-known and historic structures in Baton Rouge, the Heidelberg Hotel, now the Hilton Hotel, located on the corner of Lafayette and Convention Streets in downtown Baton Rouge. This notable building was originally constructed in 1927. An addition was built in the late 1950s, which expanded the hotel to Florida Boulevard. The building sat empty from 1985 until it was finally revitalized and reopened in 2005. The Baton Rouge Room Archive has a marvelous selection of materials that reflect the history of this historic Heidelberg Hotel. Here you can see how photographs show the evolution of the hotel from a new 1920s Art Deco structure to the construction of the addition, which was a more mid-century modern style, and then the building's fall into disrepair, and finally its renovation. A process of change which spans nearly a century. Our collection also holds bits of ephemera from the hotel over the years. We have a key fob, a room bill, a check, a matchbook cover, and even room service menus. Besides learning about the physical nature of the hotel, these items provide many clues into the past. The room service menus help us learn not only about the cost of food, but what types of food were in style and available at the time these menus were in use. The room bill can act as a clue to inflation markers in the value of the dollar in the early 20th century. In 1935, a room in the hotel was $2.50 per night. Today, they average around $125 per night. The great Southern writer Robert Penn Warren once wrote, "History cannot give us a program for the future, but it can give us a fuller understanding of ourselves and our common humanity so that we can better face the future." The Baton Rouge Room Archives has many clues to our area's past. You can visit us online at www.ebrpl.com or in person in the Special Collections Department on the second floor of the main library at Goodwood, where Baton Rouge history comes alive.
You're watching the January edition of the Library Roadshow, a production of your East Baton Rouge Parish Library System. I'm always fascinated to see the miscellaneous stuff that comprises our history. Items like these let us see how daily life played out. You get a real sense of the past. It's all available at the main library on Goodwood, and it's free with your East Baton Rouge Parish Library card.
It's a new dawn, it's a new year, it's a new light, but it's still the same lovable Tamika, here with a fun novel to get your pages turning. This month, I read The House of Tomorrow by Peter Bagnani. In this heartbreakingly funny and deeply compassionate story of self-discovery and family bonding, debut novelist Bagnani explores the unlikely friendship of two social outcasts and their desperation to be heard. Since his parents' untimely death, 17-year-old Sebastian Prendergast has lived in semi-rural Iowa with his eccentric grandmother in a geodesic dome. Having homeschooled Sebastian in the teachings of futurist philosopher R. Buckminster Fuller, his grandmother deemed Sebastian's humanity's next savior. But when she suffers a stroke, Sebastian must leave the comfort of his bubble world to save her from her obsessive, self-destructive plans. Sebastian soon comes under the care of the Whitcombs, the downtrodden, husbandless mother Janice, the beautiful but bratty Meredith, and sickly, sarcastic Jared, who introduces Sebastian to punk rock and brutal honesty. As Sebastian pieces together the perplexities of domestic life, he discovers the nature of family, trust, love and heartache, healing friendship. It's tightly plotted and as fun and lively as a Ramones tune. Bagnani's timely novel perfectly captures teenage angst in all its raw and riotous discomfort. The film just recently released and it stars Asia Butterfield and veteran actress Ellen Burstyn. And that's how the page turns.
To get ready for the January Mystery Lovers Book Club meeting, over the holidays I read my way through more than a dozen mysteries featuring chefs and cooks of America, England, and the European continent. It was a lot more satisfying than actually cooking anything, and there's always room for one more. And now for today's contest. Visit the library's Facebook page at facebook.com/ebrpl. Help us get ready for the Maurice Sendak exhibit and share your own Wild Things story. That's facebook.com/ebrpl. And while you're there, enjoy. We are not your grandfather's library anymore. What's coming up on the Library Roadshow in February? The launch party for Hidden Figures, of course.
Tune in next month and I'll take you inside the Maurice Sendak exhibit.
And coming up next month, I'll share another digital resource with you.
Join us in the Bookmobile at the Mid-City Health Clinic. You can get your library card and get a dental checkup.
Thanks so much for joining us on the Library Roadshow. And remember, your East Baton Rouge Parish Library is open 7 days a week at each and every one of 14 branches, plus 24/7 on the web. Check us out at ebrpl.com.
And that's how we roll.